When we think about strategic partnerships, like what do we mean by that? I think it means more so of like somebody that you know that has a capability or skill set that you do not have, and you may have a capability or skill set that they do not have, and you join forces together and you can do, the effect is a multiplier effect instead of an additive one. You can accomplish exponentially more by collaborating than you could if you were just trying to do something individually. That makes it strategic. Or there's something that you have that's valuable to them, they have that's valuable to you, and you can work together to achieve more. It's essentially said the same thing twice. So when I think about, let's say on the business side, the first one that comes to mind, I mean, this is even a few years ago, is so now I'm a co-founder in a legal tech software company, CaptureNow, right, which is essentially an AI phone receptionist for law firms. This is awesome. You see this in the Fortune 500 space. If you ever called Delta or American Express and you call those numbers and it recognizes who you are, and instead of saying press 1 for this, press 2 for Larry, press 3, it's just kind of like old school. This, instead of recognize that, and you just get to talk to it, you can go back and forth with this AI bot, works 24/7, 365, and this didn't exist in the legal industry. So it was actually, our co-founders, they had actually developed this. One was Gary Falkowitz, intake expert, intake guru, kind of wrote the book literally on legal intake. And Chris O'Brien, who also had founded the first legal intake CRM, Captura. And Chris and Gary teamed up, even years prior, they had one of the most successful legal call centers. They had seen some of the challenges associated with just human beings at these call centers. It's unpredictable, it's unreliable, and they were running one of the most successful ones. And just human behavior, if you're relying on someone to answer phones, sometimes they're in a good mood, sometimes they're in a bad mood, sometimes they don't take notes as accurately. I mean, they're not signing cases, they're just handling the intake, so they're passing through things to the CRM. Maybe the notes aren't accurate. There's not really good transparency and insight into like what's really happening in terms of auditing. And for most law firms, this is important, especially after hours, so at nights and weekends, or when somebody's on the phone, let's say overflow. So who answers the phone at 2 a.m. on a Saturday? Usually it's the voicemail, or it goes to an outsourced call center. And the outsourced call centers are horrendous. And if you don't believe me, why don't you call them and find out for yourself? So they said, you know what? The better approach and what's going to happen in the future is we're all going to be leveraging AI. And it's not so much that consumers just want a response immediately. They want to be able to call. They want somebody to answer the phone. They don't want the phone to ring, for 2 minutes. They don't want to go to voicemail and someone to call them back 3 days later. They want a response immediately. So again, this already exists in Fortune 500, in that space. They essentially built it for the legal industry. And we had known each other for many, many years. I mean, we obviously crossed paths at many of the legal conferences over the years. We built really strong relationships. We referred, clients to one another. We just had always collaborated well together. So when they had this idea, they approached me and they said, look, here's what we got, right? Here's what we're building. What do you think? And I'm like, man, this is awesome. The tech was there. The development was there. We had, Chris's expertise in terms of like everything he'd done in scaling ICE and Captura, and Gary's expertise also in scaling ICE and being a legal intake expert. And they said, okay, well, how are we going to grow and scale this thing? Right? And I said, well, here's the thing. We have an amazing audience. We have an amazing community, that's growing tremendously. We host the largest law firm growth conference. So let's all team up. And that's exactly what we did. So I think that's a great example of us coming together and us leveraging our strengths to become collaborators and being able to scale something more so than we could individually.